With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin. The problem of prescription pill abuse is not only causing harm to those who find themselves addicted, but is also to blame for an increase in crime here on Cape Cod. Police Chief Paul McDonald tells us it's the biggest problem right now in town. State Rep Randy Hunt told us on Barnstable this morning about an interesting new treatment that could help curb the prescription drug epidemic. Let's take a look at what Randy and the rest of the legislature are learning. Really interesting blog post you had on your blog last week, and there's certainly no question that prescription drug abuse is causing some serious problems here on the Cape and Islands. Addiction to things like oxycodone, OxyContin, Percocet, and other prescription painkillers at an all-time high. And we're seeing really an increase in crime directly linked to that. So talk about your impressions of the issue here on Cape, Randy.
It is a huge issue on Cape Cod, and it's an issue across the state. But Cape Cod is one of those places that people who don't live here, and probably even some people who do live here, just wouldn't believe that it's such a big problem. And it's something that really is an issue with young people as well as people of any age, because these prescription drugs, even if you're taking it legitimately, they do have an addictive effect, and it can catch some people very quickly. The other issue that comes up with it is because on the street these prescription drugs are very expensive. I understand that one oxycodone pill may cost as much as $80 or $85. Often people are going to cheaper alternatives to get an opiate high, and the most common of those is to start using heroin. And it's incredible to even think that heroin has such a big comeback, and that the route to heroin is often through these opioid drugs like Percocet and OxyContin.
It really is a scary thing, and recently there was an article in the New York Times which focused mainly on the town of Dennis, but it was talking about the link to the prescription drug problem here on the Cape and the increase in crime, because of course people need money to be able to purchase the drugs, and as you said, the prescription painkiller is very expensive on the streets. The heroin's a little bit cheaper, but again, it's a problem that's causing some crime, and we have seen an increase in crime really all across the Cape because of this.
Well, look, our sheriff, Jim Cummings, has often quipped, but it's very true, if the people that were supposed to be taking drugs did, and the people who aren't supposed to be taking drugs didn't, his jail would be mostly empty. And you think about that, and it's true. I've talked to the DA, Michael O'Keefe, who said that upwards, more than 90% of the people that they convict and send to the county correctional, the House of Corrections over in Bourne, have drug-related issues that they've gotten. Either they've gotten convicted of stealing, or they've gotten convicted of possession of drugs, or with the intent to distribute. If you took that out of the equation, it would be a very, very different place.
Right, and you're also looking at a very high recidivism rate as well with people who are addicted to drugs, because as soon as they get out, you begin that cycle right away again, and it's not too long before they're back within the court systems. And
that's where the point of the blog post that I put up last week is, and that's related to a drug. It's not a new drug, but it's one that's being used to treat opiate addictions, and it's called naltrexone, and there is a version of that is injectable that actually lasts for 30 days. What it does is, now, by the way, naltrexone is not it's not a narcotic itself, not unlike Suboxone, which is a treatment that's used for opiate addiction.
Right, methadone as well.
And methadone, those are actually narcotics themselves. This is not. This is prescribed, but it's under no special circumstances like any of those other drugs would be. What it does is it blocks the receptors that give you the high when you take an opioid drug. And it lasts for 30 days. So what's happening is there's a doctor down in New York City who is with the NYU School of Medicine. His name is Dr. Joshua Lee. He is working out at Rikers Island on a test pilot program where they have to get somebody who is clean at the moment. Then you can use naltrexone to prevent them from getting high. Even if they take the drugs in large quantities, they just simply don't get high. What's beautiful about that is they're volunteers coming out of Rikers Island. That's a jail down there.
Right.
And, they're told, okay, this is a volunteer program. They're told that they're not going to be able to get high. And what it does is it actually breaks the addiction cycle. That, with follow-up treatments and additional 30-day injections, is enough to actually get somebody enough of a break to where they can start dealing with this situation.
And it really is kind of a fascinating approach to dealing with it. And as you said, they take it, it's good for 30 days. And even if they have the urge to use again, it's not effective because this drug essentially blocks the receptors so you don't get high.
Right. Why would you pay $85 for a pill that does nothing?
Exactly.
And that's part of the psychology of the whole thing. Now, we have a bill that we heard in the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Joint Committee hearing, and that is a bill by Stephen Tolman that actually sets up a similar pilot program here in Massachusetts to be used at the houses of correction in Suffolk County and Middlesex County. And I am pushing to get this through, and if we have some success with that, it would be the first thing that I've seen in years, quite literally, that may have some promise of breaking the demand for these drugs. I've said for a long time that, if somebody demands a drug, somebody will find a way to get that drug to them. So fighting it from the supply side seems to be a losing battle. But if you can have people get straight, get a job, start paying taxes, and not require these drugs, that would certainly be a solution to the problem that we're facing.
Indeed, and as we were talking, so many crimes are linked to drugs and vice versa. It's just a vicious cycle. So if you can at least help the people who have been incarcerated, prevent them from either relapsing or doing crime again when they get out. And I would think this would be a quite effective treatment for addicts too, for maybe not criminals, but people who are addicted, who are battling a problem.
It certainly is. You have to get them into a detox situation. Once they're clean for at least 30 days, they can start taking this drug. And apparently it has relatively few side effects that people are having a problem with. So, I don't know if it's the silver bullet for this issue, but it's certainly something we should pursue.
Right. It definitely seems like a viable option to at least help some of the problem. So in terms of where the bill is right now, when are you hoping to see it passed?
Well, it has been heard, and that means that the next step is for the committee to have an executive session to move the bill along. The bill was heard on June the 1st, and I would think that we're having 2 meetings next month, and I'm sure one of those 2 meetings will have an executive session to move a number of bills along, and I'm pushing to make sure that this is one of those. And if it gets moved along to the House Scheduling Committee, then hopefully we'll be able to vote on that on the floor in short order and get this pilot program started.
You can find more information about this bill on Randy's blog. Simply go to randyhuntcpa.blogspot.com, or you can just Google Randy Hunt blog. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.